Hey dreamers, welcome back to your Dream Coach podcast, where we talk about what it really takes to build a business, a mission, and a life you love from the inside out. I'm your host, Shayla Wey, and today we're talking about something that every entrepreneur or leader wrestles with at some point, and that's delegation. Now, not just any delegation. I'm talking about how to delegate without feeling like you're losing control. Because if you're anything like me, or like the hundreds of business owners that I've coached, you know the tension between wanting help and not wanting to let go. You want to scale, but you're afraid someone else won't do it right. You want more freedom, but you're not sure anyone else can meet your standard. And I've been there. And I've learned, sometimes the hard way, how to delegate in a way that still honors your vision, protects your brand, and supports your growth. So in this episode, I'm going to share what I have found to be true, not just in theory, but in real world experience. And I'm going to go through the truths that will help you delegate with confidence and clarity. So let's dive in. So I want to start with the idea that control often comes from a place of care, but it can limit you. Because I think it's important to acknowledge that the desire to control everything usually comes from a really good place. You care, you're passionate, you've poured your heart into this business, and you've built it from the ground up. And of course, you want it done right. But what I found is that when care turns into control, we actually start limiting our own growth. So you can't do it all forever. And more importantly, you shouldn't. And so if you want to go further, you need people, you need systems, you need trust. And that starts by recognizing that delegating isn't about abandoning, it's about expanding. And so the foundation of delegation is clarity, not just trust. People will often say, I don't trust someone else to do it. But here's what I've discovered is it's not usually a trust issue, it's a clarity issue. So you can't expect someone to execute perfectly if you haven't clearly communicated. Things like, what does success look like? What steps do they need to follow? Why it matters. And so when I started creating checklists, recording videos, and just walking my team through the why behind a task and not just the how, everything changed. And so what I found is that the clearer your communication, the more confident you'll feel handing it off. And you don't have to let go of everything, just the right things. I used to think that delegating meant I had to give up everything. And for someone who has built their business, right, sometimes solo, that can feel really terrifying. But the truth is that delegation is not about giving away everything. It's about getting intentional about where you are most valuable. So asking ourselves, what are the things that only I can do as a leader or an executive? What drains my energy but doesn't actually require my expertise? And what could someone else actually do better or faster? So just starting there. And what I found is that delegation is less about letting go and more about elevating your role. And perfectionism will keep you in the weeds. And that one's tough because I know so many of us pride ourselves on having high standards. And that's not a bad thing until it becomes a block to growth. And so what I found is that if you're expecting people to read your mind or match your process perfectly from day one, you're going to stay stuck. Because yes, there will be mistakes. Yes, it may take longer the first time. But if you keep doing everything yourself because it's faster or safer, you're choosing control over capacity. And capacity is what we need to scale. I love this idea of document once, delegate forever. I love systems. So let's talk systems. One of the best shifts that I made was adopting the mindset, if I'm doing this more than once, it needs a system. So instead of repeating myself on every task, I started recording videos or tutorials. Writing simple SOPs, right? Standard operating procedures or checklists. Creating templates for things like emails, onboarding, even proposals. And what I have found is that systems are the bridge between you and freedom. Once a system is in place, delegation becomes plug and play instead of stressful. And this is how you stop being the bottleneck. And delegation doesn't mean that you stop leading. It means you lead better. One fear I had for a long time was that if I delegated, I'd become disconnected. Like I'd lose control of the vision or the quality. And so what I found is that when you delegate the doing, you can focus on leading. So that means checking in regularly, coaching your team, refining processes, and keeping the big picture in mind. Delegation actually allows you to stay in your zone of genius and not getting buried or buried in the day-to-day. And when you're leading from that place, that's when your business grows faster and feels lighter. Feedback is a two-way street. Another piece of the puzzle is you can't just delegate and disappear. So I've learned that regular feedback loops are essential. So not just giving feedback, but also asking what's working for you, what's confusing, maybe even how can we improve this process together? And so when your team feels heard, they take more ownership. And when you're willing to improve the process together, things get better, not messier. And so collaboration leads to stronger delegation. And letting go is how you make room for your dream. And finally, this is what it comes down to, is you can't build your dream if you're buried in doing everything. Your dream needs space. Your clients need your presence. Your business needs your vision. And that only happens when you're willing to let go of the pieces that aren't yours to hold anymore. And it's not easy. But what I found is that every time I've let go, my business grows, my team grows, and I grow. And you can too. So pick something that you heard from this episode that you're currently doing that doesn't need to be you. Document it, create a process, and then delegate it to someone else with that clarity and support. Then I'd love for you to DM me on Instagram at Shayla Wey Coaching and let me know what you let go of this week, and I'll be cheering you on. And if this episode resonated with you, hit subscribe, share with a friend, and leave a review. It helps this podcast reach more dreamers just like you. So keep dreaming, keep leading, and keep letting go of what's no longer yours to carry. Until next time on your Dream Coach podcast.